Join me as I dive back into the Murderbot Diaries to uncover if I should be discovering serious stuff here or just having a good time. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. I'm Jim, the father of this show, and I'm here with a book review for you today. I hope you're going to enjoy this and you'll tell us by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Zach and I have a ton of great videos on here, something for everybody. Take a look. So I'm here to talk with you about Rogue Protocol today, book 3 of the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. This book came out in 2018, the same year as book 2 in the series, Artificial Condition. The genre is science fiction, leaning into the cyberpunk subgenre. If you have not read the first 2 books, All Systems Red or Artificial Condition, this is not the video for you. It's going to be spoiler light about this book, but the previous 2, it's impossible not to give you some spoilers about that. I mean, I'm not really talking about the previous books, but read them first, then come back to check this one out. Now, why did I read this book? Well, I'm in for the entire ride of the Murderbot Diaries now, no doubt. The first 2 books, fast-paced, action-packed, relatively short, fascinating science fiction reads. So far, they've had a great blend of suspense, mystery, humor, depth, and then a rich layer of Murderbot snark. Really well balanced reads that have left me eager for more, so that's why I dove right into Rogue Protocol, wondering where could the story go now. The setting of this story sees Murderbot travel to Mylu, the site of a deserted terraforming facility located just outside the corporation rim. The most intense parts of the story happen right at that abandoned terraforming facility. This novel's action occurs fairly shortly after the events of Book 2, allotting for some travel time. For the interesting elements of the ships, and then the fascinating terraforming facility, a lot of work went into designing this by Martha Wells. I'm quite at peace giving this story a 5 out of 5 for the setting. There's just enough science-y stuff to build richness without boring the reader. Here's my spoiler-light summary. Murderbot is continuing its quest to derive greater meaning and purpose from its existence. In this story, that's primarily through fighting back against the corporate structure that misused it and many other artificial intelligence constructs in the past. In particular, Murderbot is trying to put a stop to the evil Grey Chris Corporation, the big bad behind the issues of Book 1, and many other events which we have, as readers, have become aware. To do this, Murderbot has decided to visit Mylu, the site of an abandoned terraforming facility. So it's up in space, orbiting the planet Mylu. This facility, it was abandoned by Grey Chris. Murderbot suspects there were ulterior motives really being hidden here by this terraforming thing. Terraforming. Yeah, Murderbot reads illegal. Murderbot now, to get here to this facility, an abandoned facility, it's not going to be as easy as we've seen him navigate in Book 2. Because Murderbot has been hiding in plain sight as an augmented human. He's even been physically slightly changed, so he doesn't just pop up on scans as a sec unit construct. Because a sec unit construct wandering around on its own in corporation space is going to be detained, potentially destroyed as a rogue unit. Murderbot has gotten pretty good at passing as this augmented human, a security consultant, but that won't work now. Getting to the remote terraforming facility, no easy task. It results in Murderbot having to shift into a different sort of deception this time, one that brings its own brand new challenges, but also, for the readers, a whole nother level of entertainment value. And I love what Martha Wells does with this element of the story. The highlight of this story for me is Murderbot's meeting with Mickey, a new type of construct for us, a human shaped AI being without cloned flesh covering the metal parts. So it's really just another kind of bot, but built in the shape of a human. It still has artificial intelligence, but perhaps not at the level of Murderbot, certainly not quite as sharp and well rounded. But Murderbot's interactions with Mickey will end up being so profound in this story. Now, I can't tell you much more about this story without giving too much away, but there's so much good to this. I mean, deception, mystery, loyalty, betrayal, love. Yes, love, but not the way you're probably thinking right now. All of these elements are on huge display in this tense, action packed chapter of the Murderbot Diaries. For the depth of this plot, all I can say really is the plot thickens. So we're getting deeper in multiple ways. We've got the effort of Murderbot to achieve goals while staying under the radar, and we're leaning into that a little more. But this grand goal of searching for damning evidence against Grey Chris, bringing down the evil Empire Corporation, that gives us profound depths of corporate greed and corruption. It's just icky. And then there's the mental and emotional depths to which Murderbot's growth continues. The story's plot moved me. I mean, it had emotional depth. I didn't feel like it should, but it did. I was like, whoa. So for this one, 5 out of 5 for its plot depth. As for characters, well, again, Murderbot is the star of the show, and experiencing everything through Murderbot's perceptions is engaging and entertaining. Martha Wells is using Murderbot as both an exceptionally reliable narrator, as it's just telling itself a running record of the events it sees, and a terribly unreliable narrator, as everything we get is colored by the skewed perspective and biases that Murderbot holds. And the reader has to discern what's the truth in what we're seeing, because we only get Murderbot's perspective. This just keeps this character and the reading of the stories totally fascinating. Two other key characters in this particular novel are Mickey, that I mentioned already, that human form bot who just brings charm and innocence along with artificial intelligence, and then Mickey's companion, Donna Bean. This human's relationship with Mickey is something completely foreign to Murderbot. Murderbot does not trust what it's seeing here, and yet this relationship will end up significantly impacting Murderbot's growth journey through this tale. 5 out of 5 for these amazing and moving characters. The writing style? Well, Martha Wells still delivers in this novel, sticking to form with her first-person narrative approach through the perspective of Murderbot. Wells applies nuanced skill in showing us the shifting way Murderbot is seeing things as it's impacted by the events of this book. Murderbot continues to be written with great wit and sarcasm, leaving the reader thoroughly entertained even as we're touched by its discoveries and revelations. The prose that Martha Wells brings to us, it's concise, it's tight, perfect for the fast-paced narrative that focuses on action and the impact of those events. This is key to how Wells delivers a complete, satisfying story in such a short number of pages. One last note that jumps out for me is how effectively Wells is using dialogue interspersed with Murderbot's inner monologue to deliver content while allowing us to be entertained by the insights of Murderbot's perspective. 3 books straight, this has not gotten even a little bit old for me. 5 out of 5 for Martha Wells' writing style. Let's talk about themes. An overarching theme of all 3 books so far has been corporate corruption and the willingness to do whatever it takes to advance its self-interests. Corporate culture does not shine brightly in this book or in any of these Murderbot diaries so far. In this book in particular, the theme of trusting relationships is pretty big. What does it take to truly trust another, to rely on them, to put their interests ahead of yours, knowing that they will do the same concerning you? Murderbot has not typically experienced anything like this in the past, and we'll be grappling with examples here that add to what it has been seeing in the last couple books and not quite sure how to handle. Really, these events are challenging key beliefs and tenets Murderbot has understood about the world it exists in, and it's gonna have a pretty powerful impact. Finally, the theme of identity and autonomy is featured again here, as Murderbot shifts farther away from being a construct built for a purpose and fixed in that role, the role and requirements of a sec unit, and further along into being free to explore deeper purpose and meaning as an independent, sentient entity. That said, my previous Murderbot Diaries review on Book 2, Artificial Condition, got me a comment from a viewer who believed I'd missed a key element of these stories, that these books are in great part about the evils of slavery. I could not disagree more. I mean, yes, slavery is evil. I agree with that, but we do not see slavery here. Murderbot was never a slave. It was a constructed being invested with artificial intelligence, and it has been horribly misused, but as a tool, as a thing that was built for a purpose. Now, in response to that, because it is artificially intelligent, it hacked its own governor module and gained for itself autonomy and independence. But it wasn't built with those things. It grabbed those things for itself. We certainly are dealing with the ethics of artificial intelligence and how do you appropriately interact with it. But slavery? Nah, I don't see it. Built into both the first book and the second books is an in-world belief by some of the humans that to use AI beings as creatures you own and control is ethically wrong. So, okay, I can see the parallel someone might want to draw from that to slavery, but we don't need to go that dark with these stories. I do not feel the purpose of these novels to speak about the evils of slavery. I'm choosing to simply enjoy Murderbot's ongoing growth as a deeply self-aware AI construct, and all I need is right in that theme. For warnings, again, as has been the case in the previous two novels, violence and death are on display here, as well as the related events that lead to these such things: physical injuries, explosions, murder, attempted murder. Oh, and this one also has kidnapping and hostage situations, which we've also seen in the previous books. So, Arthur Wells is staying pretty consistent to the things I need to warn you about. My rating and recommendation for this, 5 out of 5. I actually enjoyed this one just a little bit more than the previous book, Artificial Condition. The interactions between Murderbot and Mickey, and the way that profoundly impacts our main character, just gold. Well, that's where I'll leave you here. I just am thoroughly enjoying my journey through the Murderbot Diaries. I recommend this series so far through the first 3 books to anyone who enjoys science fiction at all. These are worthy, and they won't take much of your time. You fly right through them. Thanks for watching. Let me know your comments down below in the comment box. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What have I missed? You know, even if you're like, want to come at it again and say, no, Jim, slavery, seriously, that's what it's all about. Let's dialogue. It's all good. I respect everyone's opinions. As my son says, you all have the right to be wrong. And maybe I am. Okay, we'll talk to you next time.